The Austrian landscape is largely shaped by forests. Almost 48% of Austria are covered by forest. 22% of these are owned by private forestry operations, with sizes above 200 hectares. Thanks to the knowledge of responsible forest managers, these forest companies are sustainably managed. Besides that, 50% of the forests are small-scale structures, which are held by many different small forest owners. Most of them originate from agriculture, but many of them no longer live on the farm. Especially these small forest owners require assistance managing their forests. The owners of our small forests have a very important role. On the one hand, they contribute to sustainable forest management, and on the other hand, they play a part for the mobilization of wood. In order to reach our goals, we are planning to increase wood harvest up to 20 million cubic meters. Therefore, it is vital that the small forest owners really go into their forest, manage them, and thus contribute to wood harvests. 100 cubic meters of harvested wood ensure jobs along the wood value chain, from forest to wood and to paper. Therefore, forestry and forest management are a significant factor in Austria's economy. From a political point of view, as well as from the interests of the forest and wood community, it is important to consider small forest owners and keep in contact with them, especially with those who don't live on a farm. They often see their forest mainly as a financial reassurance and are proud to own a forest. Thus, such forests often lack sustainable management. Trees might be mainly harvested for the direct use by the small forest owner without taking the needs of the forest into consideration. For example, with regard to forest stability, tree species diversity, or bark beetle control. To solve this problem, small forest owners need professional help. When it comes to general political interests, a small forest owner, like any forest owner, even ones who have larger forest areas, should contact the Chamber of Agriculture for assistance. However, when it is about wood marketing, they should turn to the forest associations. To get suitable help and constant updates, a membership in a forest association is recommended. The Chamber of Agriculture offers very broad silvicultural knowledge and forest consultation for its members, which can be requested in a way the owner prefers. Forests in the hand of small forest owners, especially if they don't live on a farm, are often neglected and often exist mainly due to natural growth. The required management and regulation of forest stands are very site-dependent and vary from stand to stand. Small forest owners should check the current situation of their forest from time to time. In a first step, it is most important to find out whether the forest has been actively managed within the last decades or if it has been left to itself. It's also important to find out whether it is a pure stand with a dominant species or rather a mixed forest. An example for the necessary forest management activities in a small forest is this forest area near Glocknitz in Lower Austria, which hasn't been taken care of in at least a century. The accessibility of a forest, so that trees can be harvested and transported, is a prerequisite for many forest management activities. This is not the case for this small forest, located south of the freeway S6. Thus, forest roads need to be created. The forest is a mixed forest made up of silver fir, Scots pine, Norway spruce, larch, beech, and birch. To plan and mark such a forest path in the steep terrain, the forest owner made an inspection together with a forest engineer of the Regional Forest Authority of Lower Austria. We're going to make a zero-line draft, which means we are hanging the markers at about eye level. Then the standpoint is the future level of the forest road. The draft is at a maximum longitudinal incline of 12%, but in justified exceptions, this percentage can rise a bit. In this case, it is justified, since we don't have another way to access the middle part of the slope. That means we're moving along a longitudinal incline of 15%, and I think we are in an area which is enough for the development. In a first step, trees along the markers of the planned road need to be cut down. The felled trees will be removed to make space for the excavator, which will create the forest road. It needs to remove the tree stumps which are within the track. The stumps will be buried valley side to stabilize the road, because the site has a slope above 55%. With the new forest road, even areas further into the woods are accessible. Now these forest stands can be well managed. Thus, trees which should be removed can now be selected. The stand has already reached an age where it might be smart to open it for natural regeneration. Stand age is definitely more than 120 years. Natural regeneration already started, and it requires now more light on the ground to promote the new tree generation. Therefore, some adult trees need to be removed to open the crown cover. I would definitely leave the larch and remove the large and small pine trees right around it. We will mark the trees which are to stay. Definitely the larch. And the big pine behind it. In this case, we would leave a bit less space than usually recommended to preserve this straight growing pine. The pine in between should be removed, and the larch can stay. At this inter-tree distance, enough light for the natural regeneration should reach the ground. The natural offspring might need to be protected from game browsing. This can be achieved either by fencing parts of the forest or by protecting individual seedlings. A support of a diverse natural vegetation with many different tree species that might withstand climate change is often only possible with appropriate wildlife management. Another part of the forest property consists of a young deciduous forest with a size of 6,000 square meters, which originates from natural regeneration after the logging of a mixed stand of beech and larch. This stand strongly requires a first thinning. Such a thinning requires a network of skid roads with a width of 4 meters to be established. The skid roads allow thinning activities in the forest between and the removal of the logs. If too few future trees of the preferred tree species are left after thinning, further trees should be planted in spring to fill open gaps. The area north of the S6 is very different and mainly an oak forest which should be revitalized with an appropriate thinning. The situation is actually too far gone for a traditional thinning regime. The thinning should have been done decades ago. Here, only certain specific measures can be taken for revitalization. For a real thinning and optimal selection of future trees for valuable hardwood production, we are decades too late. The start of the tree crown is already too high up on the tree. Thus, the expanding crowns are smaller and not able to expand as they should. That means it will take several decades more to reach an adequate diameter for the oaks. Around 70 to 80 centimeters would be the goal. An important factor for thinning, as for any other forest management activity, is that it happens sustainably. A guarantee for this is the PEFC certificate. PEFC is a leading institution for the promotion and certification of sustainable forest management. PEFC International is available across a forest area of over 300 million hectares. In comparison, Austria has 3 million hectares of PEFC certified forest. Additionally, the complete value chain from the forest to saw industry up to printing companies have the opportunity to certify production according to PEFC. The logs which result out of the different management activities should be sold. It is important to clarify which kind of logs and which log sizes are required by the respective sawmill, because this has a large effect on the value of the wood. Also, the PEFC certification needs to be dealt with at this occasion. When a timber salesman visits you, he will present you a document and explain that wood harvested in Austria mainly originates from PEFC certified forests. If your forest still isn't part of the system, he will recommend you to start with it. By taking part in the PEFC certification system, a forest owner demonstrates that he manages his forests in a sustainable manner and guarantees customers that the raw material in any wood products is of legal origin. Thus, an irreproachable proof of origin for the wood can be given. Before the wood harvest begins, it is important to get a binding quotation. This contains the price for the different wood qualities, including the costs of the PEFC license. There are Austrian timber trade regulations. An A log of oak should be free of branches until 3 meters, and then can have a small branch at every meter. When the whole log is down, I first check if it is healthy at the stump, and then I start measuring it. How long is the log straight, and where is the quality decreasing? If it is free of branches for 4.5 meters, I'll cut it at 4.5 meters. For the revitalization of this oak stand, the future trees were marked. Now the competing trees are cut, and thus the crown space of future trees is opened. It is possible that the remaining trees will develop new twigs on the lower trunk due to the additional light. Such shoots should be removed up to heights of 6 to 8 meters to preserve the tree quality. The timber from the log trees is cut into the requested lengths and piled in a storage place close to the forest road to allow for an easy loading for transportation. For control reasons, the amount of logs and its size should be noted, though nowadays timber is mainly quantified during processing at the sawmill. Forest associations will be helpful here too. The advantage of a membership in a forestry association is mainly that they support forest owners in timber sales. That means that industry prefers to buy huge quantities, and forest associations put together the small amounts from many forest owners and sell them at more reasonable prices. This is a clear advantage. A second advantage is that the workforce needed, including harvest, can be organized by the association. So from the provision of necessary machinery till the labeling of the trees to be cut, many activities can be supported by the association or by commonly hired enterprises. The guidelines for timber sale and the quality criteria for logs are regulated in the Austrian timber trade practices. The cooperative platform Forest Wood Paper FHP developed a very good and comprehensive booklet, which presents this topic in a way that is easy to understand. If all these management activities are taken into account, small forest owners can expect a stable forest also under future climate conditions which likely generate higher value.